Okay. Okay.
Okay, well, I guess we're recording. That was a little weird of us start there. I don't know why I did that, but here we are. Welcome to Complete Sports Media's podcast. I'm your host, Darren Campbell. We are here on the Complete Media Network. And as always, on Monday, we've got our best friend here, Jason Cameron's joining us. Hey, buddy, how was your weekend? How's your Monday?
Weekend was good. I didn't do anything. It was exactly what I needed.
Perfect.
It was perfect. It was very, very relaxing and stuff. I shouldn't say not anything. I did help out my cousin with some stuff on Saturday, but other than that, I very much took it easy, and it was much needed. I was really tired from the week.
Yeah, so was I.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did a bad thing on Friday. I got up early because I wanted to watch the women's soccer team play Sweden to try to get the gold medal. So I woke up at 5 a.m. to watch that game. So I watched the game before work, headed to work. I was working in South Langley. We didn't get out of there till after 7, and I started driving home, and it's a pretty far drive, and I started feeling so tired. I was like, oh man, and I was opening the window, I was slapping myself, I was listening to the radio really loud, but I should have pulled over. I really should have had a nap there because man, it was a long week and I was just exhausted, and I can't run the risk of falling asleep driving like that. So I learned my lesson. I'm gonna pull over next time, but yeah, it was tough. Long week, and I felt super tired Friday night.
Yeah, no, I've been there. Like anybody that works in our industry, I believe, has been there for sure.
Yeah.
And no shame in pulling over and just getting a couple Z's, getting a couple shutouts to make sure that you get home, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Today was kind of a day that I felt a bit sad about. First Monday I've worked in 6 months. I didn't work on the last show before this one. I didn't work Mondays because we always did this, and I always wanted to have a great weekend, absorb the weekend sports, get ready for this, and have some great podcasts with you, other podcasts with others. So I didn't work. I was asked one Monday 6 months ago if I could work that Monday, and I had a terrible week. I was like exhausted, 60 hours just did me in, and I was like, oh man, not going to do that again. So I refused a couple other Mondays that were asked of me after that. Then I started on this show. I was supposed to start on a Monday. That got pushed later in the week. And then last week we had the holiday Monday. So it's been crazy, but 6 months since I've worked on a Monday. This is going to be a tough week, buddy. It's going to be tough.
Yeah, but you've been spoiled for 6 months. 6 months you've been spoiled. And now when you finally have a Monday, you're like, oh man, I don't know if I could do it.
Yeah, and unfortunately, I stayed up a bit late last night too. We went and had a few beers at a couple of really nice decks. We found some great spots. We found a spot over in Delta on the water. It's really nice, peaceful on the. I guess it's an arm of the river there, and it was just nice outdoor deck. I don't think that. There's been so many more extra decks put into restaurants and bars these days, and this one I don't think existed before, and it's just pushed right out onto the water there. You saw people paddling by, you see boats coming by, and people actually were pulling up to the dock, coming for a beer, and then going back, getting on their boats and heading off. It was pretty cool.
Oh, that is awesome. That is great. What was the name of the pub restaurant that you went to? Do you remember?
I think it was called Speeds. I think it's called.
Speeds.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's a good one to go for me to go visit at some point.
Yeah. They had a place right next door called Sharky's, and then it's called Speeds, I think it is. And then there's 3 places along that waterway, and really beautiful, nice decks, and really good. You get to sit out there and see people. There was kayakers and canoers and boats, and yeah, it was awesome. I really enjoyed it.
Oh, that's great, man. That's great. That's great seeing that people are getting out there again and, like, I don't know, interacting with society, which is pretty cool.
Yeah,
That's good
very
to see.
cool. Yeah. I have to say a thank you right off the top. Lorray was able to deliver my computers so we could do this on time. I had my computers over at her place, and I figured I could get off work, drop by her place, grab my computers and everything, and be here on time. But it wasn't going to work because I was asked to stay late. So really appreciate her being able to drop these off so we could do this on time.
No, that is awesome. She is awesome. I appreciate it too, so that we could do this on time. So that's good.
Yeah. Yeah. So, okay. Well, a fantastic weekend in the world of sports as always. The Olympics wrapped up, which was pretty incredible and fun. Canada had its best performance ever. The U.S., for all of our American viewers and listeners, had an incredible performance. They led the way with 113 medals, 38 gold, 38 or 39 gold, and topped the list there. There was a lot of lists that were showing China above them because they had more gold, even though they were way behind them in the total medal count. But right at the end, the U.S. ended up getting one more gold medal than China, so they topped the list. But super proud of Canada, tied for the most golds we've ever had in a non-boycott Olympics, and the most medals we've ever had total in a non-boycott Olympics, 24. Amazing amount of great performances by our local athletes here.
Oh, that's fantastic. It's they should be, all the athletes that competed should be super proud to represent their country, and especially those that won medals or medal. It's a great honor, to represent your country like that for the Olympics, and especially when you medal.
Yeah, so great. And this was tough because COVID hit and they decided to postpone it for a year. Unfortunately, Japan was hit by another wave just as these Olympics came in. It was really tough to not see fans in the stands. That just adds so much electricity and atmosphere to these Olympic Games. And most of these venues were really empty except for other competitors and a few other, officials and things like that. But I feel really bad for the Japanese government and the Japanese people because I think they spent $29 billion on this endeavor and they're not recouping it because, they couldn't sell tickets and stuff like that. That's just so brutal. And I really, really wish that it could have been, I know they didn't want to postpone it another year, but I just wish it could have just worked out so that they could have recouped a lot of the money that they spent.
Yeah, because that's a super expensive bill to not be able to pay, literally. And it sucks. And it sucks because these competitors, they train so hard to show their skills, but they get to show their skills to an empty stadium.
Yeah.
That kind of sucks. Sucks, man.
Too bad.
But unfortunately, that's the situation that we're in. But at least, they had the chance to compete and people got to see them on the television screen. So
yeah. Another aspect of it that was quite tough was none of them could have their families there. So, a lot of them, their families being there right from the start, super supportive, able to talk to them when they're feeling a little bit apprehensive, they're having any type of mental health issues and stuff. And we saw that Simone Biles, considered the greatest gymnast of all time, she decided that she is having some mental health issues and she needed to pull out of a lot of events she was in. And she got a lot of praise for her courage to tell people that she was having these difficulties, divulging that she wasn't mentally ready to compete. And she was so well received by her coming out and saying this that I was really, really happy. I didn't see any negativity about it at all.
Well, at this point in time, there shouldn't be any. There should only be support. everybody knows how hard it has been to get through this pandemic.
Yeah.
And it should be even doubly or triply as hard for an athlete that has all that pressure on them to perform at the highest level.
Yeah.
So with that as well, on top of all of this weird scenario that none of us have ever really experienced ever before, yeah, it's tough, and it's mentally taxing. And I applaud her for taking her time out that she needed so that she can get mentally right.
Yeah, yeah, me too. Yeah, yeah, good for her. They said that a lot of these Olympic committees from countries around the world have now employed sports psychologists, employed counselors, have tried to dedicate some money and some funding and things like that to mental health practitioners and people that they can talk to. And yeah, it's the first time that we've really started hearing that about Olympians, and the pressure that they feel, the overwhelming pressure that they feel from the country, really wanting them to do well. And it was 5 years of building up to this event, and some of them said they were really, really having some struggles with it. So I'm glad that finally a lot of these Olympic committees are realizing that they need to put some money not just for the physical health of the athletes, but the mental health too.
Yeah, because it's all one package. Like you can't have the physical without the mental. You can't have the mental without the physical. So it has to be all trained to the highest extent so that they can perform at the highest level.
Yeah. You weren't able to watch a lot of the Olympics, I understand. Is there any moments that you did watch that stand out for you?
Yes, I did see some highlights. The moment that stuck out to me was the U.S. men's basketball team winning gold. All right. What stuck out to me the most was this. They actually had to battle back in that game against France to win.
Yeah.
But what stuck out to me is this. The rest of the world has caught up to the U.S.
Right. Yeah.
So this is no longer gimme stuff anymore.
No.
They can't just show up and win. They got to show up and play.
Yeah.
And play well, or else they're going to be embarrassed and they're going to get beat.
Yeah.
That's what it showed me, that the rest of the globe is caught up to you. No more gimmies anymore. You're going to have to play and play well.
Yeah. Well, they've won 3 gold medals in a row. They hadn't lost in, I think it was 20 years in Olympic competition. But when France, when they had a little bit of trouble in their pre-Olympics games, and then France beat them right off the top. France was supposed to be in the final, like everybody suspected. They had their difficulties and their issues, but Kevin Durant was, to me, the biggest catalyst why they were able to push it over the top and get that gold medal win. He just signed a 4-year, $198 million deal, I guess today. And he has fully recovered from the Achilles troubles, a bit of his issues that he's had this year, keeping healthy, but he was absolutely phenomenal. Just the biggest key for them to get the gold medal put around their necks again.
Yeah, and I wonder why he played so well. Oh, I think I know. That probably that 198 million that he knew was coming into the bank. And he was just like, oh man, we are still going to win.
Yeah, he pushed his career earnings with that contract over 500 million now, and Steph Curry was the first player to ever sign 2 contracts that were worth over $200 million each. So the former teammates there. Another former teammate, Draymond Green. I saw him and KD actually really getting along. Seems like water's under the bridge, and they were talking a lot on the bench and on the court during the Olympics. Good to see that they're getting along now.
Well, of course they're getting along. They're on different teams. Everything's good now. Everything's great. And also too, like, you know what? At the end of the day, let's let bygones be bygones. Like you're a great athlete, and I think their issue always comes down to competitive juices are flowing, right. The competitive nature in both of them. And I think they both realize that, and they're able to let it go.
Yeah.
Let it be what it is.
Lots of things stand out for me about the Olympics. Andre DeGrasse winning a gold medal finally. He has every race that he entered in the Olympics, in the 2 Olympics that he's been in, he's won a medal, but he finally got gold wrapped around his neck. That was phenomenal. I loved that 85% of our medals were won by females this time. I thought that was really great. I don't know the exact figures, but it was like overwhelming. The women were the catalyst and reason why Canada was, so successful this time. And that women's soccer team, they had not beat the Americans in 20 years in international play. They had a really sour taste in their mouth from 2012. And that game really turned on its head, and they very controversially lost to the U.S. They were able to beat the U.S. in the early rounds and go in against Sweden, being an underdog, and in super dramatic fashion won in the penalty shootouts. It was incredible to see them accomplish their goal finally and become world champions and wrap those gold medals around their neck. It's a memory I'm going to remember, I think, forever, and it was really, really, really great to watch.
That is awesome. That is awesome that our ladies did so well in soccer, winning gold finally and getting past their nemesis of the U.S., especially because I remember that where the U.S. was whooping it up and throwing it in their face once they scored like 7 or 8 goals against that hapless country. I can't remember which country it was.
Oh, right. Yeah, that was brutal, yeah.
And their celebrations were so over the top.
Yeah.
So here's what I have to say about that. Canada. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, we're your nemesis now. Try to beat us like that. That's not going to happen.
I love it. Yeah, I love it. So, yeah, so we put another Olympics to bed. We're only 6 months away from the Winter Olympics in Beijing. We'll get to see some great competition again. And Canada's more of a winter nation. We usually are, one of the top nations. When we were in Vancouver, we were, the top medal producer in those Olympic Games. And so, we just got to wait 6 more months and we're going to get to cheer on a whole new crop of Olympians again. It's going to be fun.
Yeah. And hopefully, God willing, there will be more fans able to experience the Olympics, the Winter Olympics in China. Hopefully. Fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed. Yeah, for sure. Anything, we touched on basketball just recently. Anything from the free agent frenzy that comes to mind? So much money handed out. Billions and billions of dollars have been handed out this past week. Man, it's just insane. I just really wish that I would have started dribbling a basketball when I was 3 years old and I didn't put it away for about 15 more years past that and made myself a NBA basketball player, because holy, is the money ever insane right now. These guys are making 30, 40, 50 million dollars a year now. This is just it's shocking me, and we're seeing it every off season, but this year I don't know, it's just mind-blowing right now.
It is mind-blowing, the amount of money that's just being thrown around to these guys, and we're talking about guys that aren't even like literally all-stars.
No.
Like some of these guys are just really good shooters, like Duncan Robinson. Not to say that Duncan Robinson didn't earn his contract. He absolutely did. But I'm saying, like, even if you're, let's say this, if you're an elite shooter, you're making $20 million or more. Like, and that's a lot of money, man. That's a lot of money.
Yeah.
That's a huge amount of money. But I was gonna say, two of the free agent things that kind of popped up to me for what's happened is obviously Russell Westbrook to the Lakers.
Lakers, right.
I am super curious to see how LeBron will make that work, because it's not up to Russell to make that work. LeBron is going to make that work.
True.
I don't know how he's going to make it work, but he will figure out a way because he's LeBron James. That's number one. Number two, I thought the whole scenario with Kemba Walker very interesting because he went to OKC at first, And OKC just said, no, we're good. We don't need a 19-point-a-night guy that has 5 assists a game. I kind of get where they're coming from because he is injury prone, but get out of here. Don't tell me that you don't need a guy like that. You actually kind of do need a guy like that.
Yeah.
So they paid out his contract so that he could go wherever he wanted, and now he's with the Knicks.
Yeah, that was really shocking. Yeah, he's fallen so far out of favor. It was surprising his exit so quickly in the new regime in Boston, and then OKC, yeah, sent him out the door, and the Knicks. I think he'll be a good fit there. They were such a surprise team this past year, and I think he'll fit in well with the team that's really on the rise and seeming to assemble a really good core around him and others.
Yeah, what the Knicks were missing was a scoring punch. I think he can provide that. The only problem with Kemba is, can he be consistent with his health? If he can stay on the court for prolonged periods of time, like that's unfortunately, I'm saying it like that because it's the truth. Like he has all those knee problems. He has trouble staying healthy. Maybe, I don't know, hopefully he changes his regimen on how to, or his physiotherapy that he's doing. Whatever he's doing, hopefully it works for this season going forward.
Yeah. Speaking of Toronto, I got my Toronto Raptors shirt on. Why don't we talk a little bit about Toronto? What do you think of the Kyle Lowry sign and trade and all the things that came out of that?
First off, I think number one, that really worked out to Miami's benefit for sure. I think that Kyle Lowry is going to be a major addition to that Heat squad, to that Heat team. Himself and PJ Tucker, like I'm just gonna say, like I think they're going to be a major power in the East now going forward.
Yeah.
Like they look really, really, really good and really, really, really strong.
Yeah, they sure do. Yeah, I'm amazed that they that was a piece they needed, and they were able to pull that off. And I feel like wow, they had that amazing run in the bubble, had an off year this year, but addressed that. You and I talked about Lowry going there before the playoffs. There was a lot of talk that he was going there at the trade deadline. Didn't pull off that move, but I guess they realized, wow, we should have done that. We should have done that, and we didn't pull it off. Now it's time to get it finally done.
Yeah, and they have gotten it done. And then if you just look at the pieces that they have, like, dude, they even got Victor Oladipo coming back for a song. Because they don't know, like, because with Victor Oladipo, he doesn't know physically how he's going to be. So he's just going to take a lower contract to once again prove himself that he can play, because he's still coming off that horrendous quad injury, right?
Yeah.
So, but if he can play, and if he can play to the level that he was playing at before, geez, oh man, Miami Heat's gonna be a problem for any team going forward.
No kidding, yeah. But I'm not sure. That seems like a pretty brutal injury that he's been, trying to recover from a couple of years out of the game, really. And we'll see if he's able to pull this off. There have been some rumors that the NBA is looking at some tampering charges because of this deal. The maximum fine for tampering is $10 million, and they can veto a deal. They're saying that this had to have been done before that trade deadline, and 99% of the things that have been announced since that free agency frenzy started were already announced before that actual deadline. So I'm not sure why we're hearing about this. We're hearing about the Lonzo Ball and the Lowry trade as two that they're looking at as for some tampering.
It's interesting to me because we all know what happened with Bogdanovich. Then that trade just went down the toilet.
Yeah.
And so with that as the example, I think all the GMs were supposed to be, I don't know, super careful with how they went about doing their trades this year.
Yeah.
So I'm very I'm shocked to hear that the NBA is looking into any of these trades because I would imagine that these guys took every precaution to make sure that they were on the up and up, to make sure
Yeah.
that this wasn't the thing.
Yeah, you
So
would. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, I would have.
I would
I would have thought
assume
they
that
would have been making really sure, being very, very careful. But yeah, I don't know. This came out of left field for me. I was really shocked to hear that they're doing some investigations in this.
yeah, me too. So I don't know if anything will come from it. I think the NBA will do their investigations and then everything should be fine.
Yeah.
I believe, because how could you make that mistake again? Because you already saw what happened from other organizations when they made their mistake. How could you make that mistake?
I know.
You wouldn't.
No, you just wouldn't think you would at all. No, that's for sure. So yeah, so Toronto got Goran Dragic. At first, they didn't think he was interested in playing there, but I hear he might have had a change of heart, and he's going to go there and give us his all. And also the young prospect Precious Achiuwa. And I actually think that was a really great move by them. I think he's going to be a great fit there. And I looked into his background when he was drafted the year before. Did you hear about what his parents named all his siblings?
No, absolutely not. I
Oh,
know that they must be unique because he's precious.
yeah, he's precious. So he has a brother's named God's Gift. He has a brother's named God's Will. He has a brother or a sister named Grace and a sister named Peace. And I think that's all the siblings. But God's Will and God's Gift. Imagine being saddled with those names and having to go to school, first of all, and then try to live up to that name the rest of your life. I guess they are both pastors from a church and they wanted to honor God, but I was pretty shocked when I remember reading about his all his siblings' names.
Because that's not a nickname, right? No, that's their actual name. So you got Double G and GW. All right, that's cool. That's awesome. I think I'd probably just go with that if I was them. I'd be like,
Double
oh no,
G, double G, and
GW.
GW. Yeah,
Yeah,
okay, all
yeah.
right.
Just call me that. Just call me that.
Yeah.
God's will. Come over here.
Yeah, imagine. Yeah, you're a little kid, and that's what you're hearing. They're calling you. Wow, this stuff. Yeah, I was blown away. I've never heard somebody call their kids by those types of names.
No. I to be honest with you, when you were going like that, I'm like, oh, so they were hippies. Parents were hippies.
Uh,
Because I don't know how else you come up with names like that.
so bizarre. Yeah. There's been some summer league games, and I've really enjoyed that. Got to see Scotty Barnes and Malachi Flynn play, and they both looked great in the action that I saw. Scotty Barnes was a very controversial pick. Everybody wanted Jalen Suggs to be the Raptors' number 4 overall pick, but they say Scotty Barnes is the man, and they think he's going to be a huge asset to them for years to come. And but he looked great in that summer league action that I saw.
Well, you know what? It's hard to go against Masai Ujiri
Yeah.
what he decides to pick.
Yeah.
Like he's actually a pretty smart man. So
Fair.
if that's the guy that he chose to go with, then I'm very interested to see how he performs for this upcoming season, because
Yeah.
I know how Jalen Suggs reacted to not being picked by the Raptors.
Mm.
He's basically kind of already said he's going to make it a mission to prove to people that not picking me was a mistake.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, there was a lot of great talent at the top of that draft, and all the pundits were picking Suggs as being that number 4 best guy. But I love Jalen Green. I love Evan Mobley. I love Suggs. I loved his game. I didn't know too much about Barnes, so have to look a lot more into it. But as you said, Masai Ujiri is really proven himself to be super astute at being able to find gems out there and being able to find the talent. He finally signed on the dotted line to be the president he's the president and something else. Vice chairman. Sorry, president and vice chairman. $10 million. I hear he's getting to be that. I think that's the highest paid role in that capacity in the NBA history, and he's probably worth it. He was able to get the Raptors into the playoffs 7 years in a row before last year, and he helped win them a championship, and do a lot of amazing moves to make them one of the teams at the top of the Eastern Conference year after year.
Yeah, and he did a lot of things where you wouldn't have thought that somebody in his position would have done.
Yeah.
He got rid of like a coach of the year in Dwayne Casey and brought in Nick Nurse, who was a complete unknown. Like, where you just like, who would do that? Yeah. You out of your mind? Are you crazy? and then he pulls off getting Kawhi Leonard somehow to come and play for a year.
That was awesome. Yeah.
And it worked. Yeah. It absolutely worked. So yeah, you pay that guy. And he was patient about it. He was just like, well, maybe they don't think I'm worth it. I'm worth it. And maybe they just want to take their time with it. So he let the organization have their time. But the organization did the right thing to bring that guy back, because he's the only guy that's ever won you a championship. That's it.
That's it. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, yeah, I'm glad that finally got done. It was hanging over their head for quite a long time, way too long for everyone's liking, but I'm glad he's there, and it sounds like a multi-year deal, and he'll be back there and doing his best to try to get that team back to the top of the mountain again. This free agent frenzy was super fun. I was really shocked, like you were, about the Russell Westbrook thing. I can't believe all the veterans that they're adding around him. To see Carmelo going there, to see Ariza going there. They got Dwight Howard back. They got Gasol, re-signed Gasol. They got way too many old guys, in my opinion. I think they're in trouble injury-wise, getting tired-wise for a long, long season. But I see them constantly making moves. That team just doesn't stop making moves to try to get another championship.
Yeah, and I heard from one of the analysts was saying that you don't win championships with 20-year-olds anyways. All right. So at the end of the day, yes, they're a veteran team. Hopefully their health holds up. More importantly, as I've already said, hopefully Anthony Davis's health holds up, because he's literally the linchpin. It's not really LeBron anymore. It's Anthony Davis. If that guy is healthy, especially for their playoff run, then they're a problem. Yeah. But I do love the fact that they put now capable shooters around LeBron and around Westbrook. Yeah. You got Wayne Ellington, Carmelo Anthony, Malik Monk, and I think it was Kent Bazemore. All those guys shot over 40% or at 40% from three. Yeah. So that's good. That's really, really good.
Malik Monk was actually 58% from corner threes last year, 41% from catch and shoot in any other spot, but from the corner, 58%. So I can see him sort of posting up and being in that corner a lot of this season, and being able to if you can give him 60% threes from there, they're really laughing. It's going to be good. The other thing that stands out to me was Lonzo Ball deal. That shocked me. I don't know why the heck the Pelicans do stuff like that. It just blows me away that they make dumb moves like that, because I thought the chemistry was great between that team, and they had a big three that could grow together, and I think would really be one of those elite teams eventually. But they just decided, boom, he was out of there.
I don't really get it either, because I thought that the chemistry that Ball had with Zion was special. Yeah. Like, he could find him anywhere for a lob. Well, maybe anybody can do it, but I thought just the way that he could always spot when Zion wanted to go, and his passing was always on target, always on point. Yeah. That's something that you just don't want to give up. Not every point guard can do that.
No.
Like literally, not every point guard can do that.
No.
And he's also shown that he was committed to getting his shot better, which it has improved. He's committed to getting a 3-point shot. Like all the things that you want to see him improve on, he did.
Yeah.
And then you give him up. So I don't. And what did they get back in return? They got Devontae Graham, which I don't know. I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't know if that was an improvement upon what he lost.
I know. Yeah. I also had a really great moment for me on the weekend. I was asked to be a guest on a podcast first time, and it was really fun. I was asked to be a guest from the All Even podcast that originates from New York. Barry Grant Jr. had reached out to me about a month ago and asked to be a guest on my show, on our show here, and we had a fantastic conversation, really good time. He reached out to me last week and asked if I would return the favor and be a guest on his. We had a really amazing conversation. I can't wait for everybody to listen and get a chance to hear our conversation. It was a long one, so you might have to listen to it in chunks, but we had a blast, and he's a really good guy, great podcaster, and we had a blast.
That is awesome. I do plan on listening to that at some point in time this week, but that is fantastic because that's what we have to do as podcasters. We have to pump each other up and we have to support each other in this community that we are now in.
I know, exactly. Yeah. So yeah, it was fun, and that's the first of many. I'm sure we're going to be guests on many other programs, and it'll be a blast. One NFL note I want to mention before we talk about the UFC. Did you see the Hall of Fame inductions? Did you see any of the speeches on the weekend? Particularly Peyton Manning. I think it's about 9.5 minute speech. One of the best gems, probably the best Hall of Fame speech that's ever been delivered, and it was so great, so funny, so amazing. Did you get a chance to see any of that?
I didn't know that it was on, so I did not get the chance to see it. But his speech was that good, huh?
Oh man, so great, hilarious, just so witty, so funny, just on point, just awesome. Yeah, just he should be in the Hall of Fame for the Hall of Fame speech. It was the best I've ever heard, and so many great honorees. They did it. The 2021s got inducted on Saturday night, and the 2021s got inducted on Sunday. A lot of really, really heartwarming speeches and amazing moments for these guys. To reach that pinnacle. It's an ultimate, for an athlete that doesn't really get any bigger than that.
Yeah, it's the ultimate form of respect. It's just like, wow, this is what your career meant to us as fans and to the league and to everybody else associated with the game. So yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah, I really liked Troy Polamalu's as well, and try to find some highlights. It is a long. Those are really long because they do induct quite a few guys, and they do, they never give them any time limits or anything. They just talk, and it's 50, 60 years of talking about all the people that have got them to that point. But really great speeches, very heartwarming. And the Peyton Manning one, I wanted to put it up today and put a bit of the clips on there, but we keep running into some YouTube where they're saying they need to do some checks on it, and then they give me some issues and stuff like that. So I didn't want to have any issues with this one today, and just you can find it. It's out there. There's tons of places to find it. Go to YouTube, and I'm sure you'll be able to see the whole thing. Yeah,
well, I'm definitely gonna take a gander because it sounds like this speech was amazing.
Oh yeah. After you watch it, send me your comments. Let me know. Text me and let me know. It was great. It was really, really funny. Okay, UFC 265. We had an amazing card from the Toyota Center in Houston. We had the hometown boy, the Derrick the Black Beast Lewis, in a interim heavyweight champion of the world against the Frenchman Cyril Gane. Um, I'm just going to give you these numbers and ask you if you know where I'm going with and why I'm saying these numbers. There was numbers that got flashed across the screen at some point that night during that fight. 16, 10, 36, 1, 1, 1. Do you know why those figures were put up on the screen?
Strikes thrown
Yeah.
and strikes landed.
Yeah, exactly. Significant strikes landed. There had been about 60 or so landed by Cyril Gane, and there had been 3 landed by the beast. 1 to the head, 1 to the body, and 1 to the legs. It ended up 112 to 16. Complete domination. Not even close. The beast was absent. He was non-existent. Was not a factor in this fight. And his stock went down. Gane's went up. Looks like he probably will get that title shot against Francis Ngannou now.
Yeah. Like I like we talked off air. I'm calling Gane the neutralizer.
Yeah.
He will neutralize your offense. Whatever you do best, he will take that away from you. And now you can't do what you do best.
No.
His movement was so good, so high level with his footwork, his in and out movement, and the fact that he's such a huge man, but his agility and his mobility is such that it's hard for these guys to set up and throw a punch because he's already gone.
Yeah.
He's already moving out of the way.
Yeah.
And what Derrick Lewis was not able to do was to make the octagon small for Gane and keep cutting it off, and then all of a sudden trap him. He was unable to do that because when he bull rushed him, Gane did the right thing. He ran away.
Yeah.
Got out of there immediately and then reset and then just started picking him apart again. Because he fought at his distance the entire time, and Lewis was never able to get into his, and that was the difference of the fight.
Sure was, yeah. Holy cow. Yeah, it was shocking, the difference. Lewis was super flat-footed. Gane was just super light on his feet for being 247 pounds and to move like that. It's rare for an athlete, a human being, to be able to be that elusive, that light on his feet. Just came in, threw his shots, got out of there. Definitely, stayed away from the power possibility that Lewis could throw at him. But it was just one-sided affair, completely lopsided victory. He is 10-0 now, and looks pretty unbeatable. He fought his first few fights here in Canada, first few MMA fights, and I always had my eye on him after seeing him fight here. He fought under the TKO promotion, and I thought, holy cow, look at this guy. He looks amazing. But I didn't think he would rise this quickly and get an interim heavyweight belt and a shot at the championship this fast.
Yeah, like it's crazy to me to see how polished he is at 10-0. Yeah. Like he looks every time even in that fight against Derrick Lewis, every time he was in position or Derrick Lewis had him up against the cage, he was able to reverse the position immediately.
Boom, yeah.
And he was always in the correct technical position to control Derrick Lewis. And I want to say this. I think Gane is like he's sneaky strong. Yeah. Like I saw many times where he outpowered Derrick Lewis. Yeah. And where you're just like, well, simply looking at the two, Lewis seems like he should be the stronger man. Not necessarily. Yeah. Not necessarily at all.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. He is a 2-time Muay Thai champion in Paris and has definitely some experience in other disciplines. But, man, this was just so one-sided. Just couldn't believe. He just rendered Lewis just non-existent. There was no output. Lewis had no chance to try to land his shots because he just wasn't there. Anytime he looked to throw a shot, he wasn't in front of him, wasn't able to, get anything going. I guess, yeah, they're going to have to negotiate. You and I talked about it not being fair to Ngannou, that there was this interim belt, but now that they have an interim champion and the champion, it makes sense that they're going to put these two together. But do you see any other possibilities happening for Lewis as well as Gane?
Um, well, first off, Ngannou, I think they're going to try to make him fight like Gane. I think they're going to try to make that fight happen. But the thing that I didn't like, because I remember I saw this off of like one of the promotional materials of Dana White. Dana White has a way of antagonizing,
Yeah.
right? And especially if the guy's not doing what he wants him to do. They'll throw out things that if you're paying attention, you're just like, oh, really? Really? That's what you want to say right now. And the one thing that he said about Ngannou was like, well, he doesn't want to fight right now. He wants to be off and do this and do that. And I'm like, I don't think that was ever the issue, Dana.
No.
I think the issue was money, but you're making it seem like it's something completely different.
Yeah.
Right. Which is his issue that he's trying to make for us, the fans, at least the ones that don't want to look into anything, is that he doesn't want to fight. Right. Couldn't be farther from the truth.
True. Yeah. No.
Couldn't be farther from the truth. And I hate it when he does that. It's not that nonsense. So I'm thinking that he's going to try to make this fight happen. And you know what? If I'm Ngannou, I'd stick to my guns. I'd just like, no, I still want to get paid more and see what he does.
Yeah.
Maybe they just put somebody else in there and they strip him of the belt. It would be the funniest thing ever because he just won it and then you're already stripping him of it. Oh, okay. Cool.
Do you see John Jones getting in the mix? Do you see Stipe getting in the mix at all with any of these guys?
Well, okay, so with Stipe, I could see Stipe fighting maybe Lewis. I could see that possibly happening, but I can't see Stipe fighting for the title again because of just how vicious that knockout was and how just it's over. You know what I mean? Yeah. But with John Jones, again, the issue is money.
Money, yeah.
I think if John Jones asks for less, there's a possibility. But if he keeps hard on his positioning of it has to be like 30 million or just under, no, it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
And I don't know when, and if that's the deal, I don't know when he's going to step into the octagon again.
Right, exactly, yeah. The latest guy that went off about money was Sugar Sean O'Malley. He had a bunch of stuff to talk about, and he said, this is ridiculous. We're bringing in people viewing, for this sport, and we should get paid. But yeah, I'll talk about him a little bit later once we go through this card. He's in some trouble with the UFC, and I can see him getting cut for the things that he said. So it'll be fun to break that down. Co-main event was a really fun fight between two Brazilians, the legend Jose Aldo against Pedro Munhoz. Aldo looked phenomenal. Back to his prime kind of days, and I was super impressed by his performance.
Munhoz was game, but Aldo was just a step better. Yeah. Like he was just a step better that entire fight. He said he's been working on his boxing more. It showed immensely. Yeah. His jab was on point. His combos were lethal. His counters were accurate. I was super impressed with everything that he did against a very, very tough game competitor in Munhoz. And then even once the fight was over, Munhoz is just kind of like, wow, I lost to a legend, so whatever. Yeah. Like, he seems like he was more than okay with it.
Fine, yeah. Surprising, wasn't it? Yeah, very surprising. I was amazed to hear that Aldo broke his own personal record for significant strikes, which is totally crazy because this was a 3-round fight. He has fought 5-round fights like so often. And the other thing that really blew me away was he's not using kicks. I'm amazed that he goes and decides to get a boxing coach and focus on that, but just abandon the kicks. That just really surprised me.
Yeah, because his kicks are one of his most lethal weapons that he has in his arsenal. Yeah. So maybe he's just doing it as I'm just not going to kick for a while, and then maybe against another fighter, he just goes, I'm gonna go back to kicking. I just want people to remember I can still kick. You know what I mean? He's just so dangerous a fighter that he can actually fight a high level guy and not use one of his very, very lethal weapons. And
Amazing. Yeah, incredible. That was the 4th straight time that Pedro Munhoz has fought a champion or former champion in the UFC. So, he's fighting really tough competitors. Both these guys are really, really, really strong and top of that division. And man, that was a really fun technical fight. Super enjoyed that. And Aldo got himself 50 Gs for one of the performances of the night there. And he's called out TJ Dillashaw, which will be pretty cool fight if they can put that together.
Oh, yeah. I really like that call out. Like, I really like that call out. I know that TJ has to rehab that knee injury that he suffered from his last fight.
Yeah.
But, man, if they can make that fight happen, I would love that. I would love to see Aldo and Dillashaw get it together. That would be a fantastic fight.
Yeah. Dillashaw had to have surgery on his knee. He said no ACL injury, but MCL and PCL, I think, and some issues there. They typically suspend a guy 6 months when he has those types of injuries. So we're probably looking at 2022 for a possible matchup there. Who knows if Aldo wants to get busy sooner or UFC wants to put him into something else. But, oh, man, I would love to see Dillashaw Aldo. I think that would be one of the greatest fights we could ever witness.
Yeah, like it'd just be action-packed. It would be so action-packed. And now seeing just the way that what Aldo did against Munhoz, I am certainly looking forward to that fight.
Yeah.
I am certainly looking forward to this version of Aldo taking it to Dillashaw. Yes, I want to see it. I definitely want to see it.
I did mention the 50K for Aldo, but there was also 50K for Gane, and I forgot to mention that. Dana White had sat down at the podium and said there was 3 performance bonuses plus fight of the night, which he typically does. So he announced Jessica Penne, Vincent Luque, and Miles Johns as 50K bonuses. And then one of the reporters, John Morgan, longtime MMA reporter, asked why Gane wasn't getting one. And Dana said, oh, yeah, I got to give him 50K too. So there ended up being 4 performance bonuses and fight of the night. So, Dana's opening those purse strings like we've been asking him. He got those 75K to a few of those pay-per-views, and now this one, an extra 50K handed out.
Yeah, that's nice. That's nice. You know what I'd like to see, though, Dana? What I'd like to see is just like 75 and it just be a thing.
Across the board.
Just across the board, like just going forward, like that would help out a lot of these fighters.
Yeah.
A lot of these fighters that put their life on the line to put on a good product so that we can all enjoy it, so that you can put more money in your pocket.
Yeah. Come on, Uncle Dana. Open it up. 75K makes more sense. Straight across the board. You're right. So, okay, let's talk about the Michael Chiesa, Vincent Luque welterweight battle. Chiesa, I saw some really interesting comments that he made over the weekend after the fight. I think he thought he was way better on the ground. He had a 19-2 takedown ratio going into this one. He thought he had the advantage, but once Luque saw him stick his neck out a little bit, put that Darce choke on him and wouldn't let go, Chiesa was forced to tap, and Luque is looking amazing lately. But Chiesa said that he mentally broke down and he apologized and he said something. I just feel like I had a mental breakdown and blew it in this fight. I was surprised by the comments.
I'm a little bit surprised. I think he's just being hard on himself. Because guess what? When you're at the highest level, and especially when you're ranked like that, top 6, which these guys are, Chiesa was 5, Luque was 6. It's just one mistake, one half-second, microsecond of a mistake, and that's all it takes.
Yeah.
I don't think he should be that hard on himself. he made a mistake. Everybody makes a mistake. Unfortunately, Luque saw said mistake and capitalized on it immediately, and it was over.
Yeah.
Like I give more credit to Luque with the fact that he did that to a ground specialist of Piazza's caliber.
Amazing,
He
yeah.
managed to catch that guy. That is freaking amazing. That's amazing, man.
That was,
yeah. I'm super impressed.
Very impressive, and I was amazed that he was able to force the tap and get that Darce. It's one of his favorite moves. He comes out of that Sanford MMA, and we've been talking about that team for quite a while. Great to see Gilbert Burns in his corner and Henry Hooft as always. He's on a 5-fight winning streak now and looking great. He's got 12 finishes now, second most in history in the division. Matt Brown has 14. Matt Hughes has 12, as well as the Silent Assassin now has 12. He called out Kamaru Usman. I guess you might as well ask to fight the top, and we'll see. Colby Covington has Usman next, obviously, but we'll see if Luque can get up to the top of the division and get a shot at the champ.
Well, if he doesn't get a shot at the champ, he gets one of the top three. And then he'll get a shot at the champ, because that's what it is now for him.
There, yeah.
They're top three or the champ.
Yeah.
So.
Okay, let's talk about the women's strawweight fight between Tecia Torres and the little tiny Tornado against Angela Overkill Hill. Man, Torres is fast and tough, and holy cow, was she elusive. Just amazing with her strikes, and just the quickness is just shocking to me. I was really, really blown away by her performance.
Yeah. And it didn't seem like Angela Hill had a plan B. I think she thought she could take Tecia on her feet, but what Tecia demonstrated was she was way too fast for Angela Hill on her feet. Was too much speed, too much quickness, and too much. And also too, Torres was able to put together combos all the time. Like when she blitz in, combo, and then she's out again.
Yeah.
So I thought Angela Hill probably would have been better served if she just tried to wrestle her and take her to the ground, take away that airspace, but she couldn't find her.
No.
At the end of the day, she couldn't track her down and find Tecia Torres. And then when she did, she couldn't keep her on the ground.
No, yeah, exactly, yeah. Torres had a personal best with over 100 strikes, significant strikes landed, and easily won the unanimous decision. Definitely rubbed it in a little bit. I beat her twice now. Hey, she's in the rearview mirror, and she beat her grappling that first fight, beat her on the feet the second fight. She definitely has put her behind her now, and we'll see. I think that performance is going to bode well for her getting a really great opponent coming up.
Yes, as it should, because she deserves that opponent. She deserves a higher ranked opponent now for sure, and definitely Overkill is in her blinders.
Yeah. The fight that kicked off the main card was Casey Kenney against Song Yadong, and I have very rarely seen a guy get so shocked and disappointed by a decision than Kenney did. He thought he had won. He was certain of it when the judges called it out. It was a split decision. Man, Kenney looked upset. I wonder if he watched it again, if he would have the same kind of opinion.
I'm sure if he watched it again, he would definitely have the same kind of opinion. It was a very, very close fight.
Yeah.
Right? It was a very close fight. I thought personally Song was barely won that fight just from significant strikes and from his counters. And I thought that Song actually fought very, very well fighting backwards, because Kenney kept going forward, but Song was able to fight very competently and efficiently fighting backwards. Yeah. And I thought that that his competence and his accuracy with his strikes was definitely the difference in the fight.
Yeah.
But Kenney was super aggressive and was always marching forward. So he probably was thinking in his mind, if I'm always going forward and trying to initiate the action, then I should win this fight. That's not necessarily true though sometimes.
Yeah. I thought I had scored Song winning those first 2 rounds just really, really, really close, but I thought he had won them. He stuffed all the takedowns that Kenney was giving him. I wrote 0 takedowns, and then at the very last second of the fight, Kenney ended up getting a takedown, so I went, oh shit, can't believe I spoke too soon, but that was key, in my opinion, him being able to stay on his feet, stuff those takedowns, and just grind out those first couple rounds. I thought Kenney probably won that 3rd round, but it was too late.
Yeah, it was too late. And yes, you were right about that. He stuffed all the takedown attempts that Kenney had. Yeah. Kenney actually didn't have any answer on how to get him to the ground.
No.
Until that last 30 seconds of round 3 when he finally got him to the ground.
Yeah. At right around the end of that fight, they showed some famous people in Houston being there. They showed Trey the Truth, rap star. They showed Roger Clemens, former Houston Astro for many years with his son, who's a former Vancouver Canadian. And I have a little cool story to tell you. I went to a Canadians game. I had some tickets right behind home plate, and I went to try to get some valet parking, and the guy said, yeah, I'll move you over here and I'll put you here. And then all of a sudden another vehicle came in, and another guy was trying to put him in my spot, and I was trying to get in the spot, and it turned out it was Roger Clemens trying to get in the same spot as I was getting into. And finally these guys ended up talking and moved me down a couple spots, gave him the most prime spot, because he was coming to watch his son play with the Seas. And I got out of my car and I said, "You're welcome." And then I just walked into the stadium, and I kind of thought it was hilarious that, we had a little bit of a short battle there. It didn't, lead to any kind of a fight, but it was kind of hilarious.
No, that's good. That is super cool. The one thing I was kind of shocked at when they showed Roger with his son, his son looks just like him.
I know, yeah, exactly.
I was just like, whoa, are you kidding me? Wow. Yeah, you're definitely his son.
Yeah,
you're definitely his son.
I know, yeah. I don't know where his career is now. He was up and comer. I hope he's still trying to make the majors. It would be great. Speaking of majors, they showed Lee Majors, the $6 million man. That was cool. I haven't seen that guy in a long, long, long time.
Yeah, that's right. I remember that when they showed him, I was just like, holy cow, he's still alive. That's awesome.
I know. I hate that sometimes when I think, oh man, I never knew that guy was still around. Oh man, he's alive. But he still looked great sitting there. Cage side, pretty cool. Yeah, it's neat when they go into some of these other markets that they don't normally go into very often. You see a few different types of stars there, and it was neat.
Yeah, no, it was cool, and I love it when they show like different celebrities. Not just the same old, like where they show all these guys, and I love the fact that now you're seeing these different sort of celebrities show up at these events, because it's just showing how much it's grown.
Yeah.
Which is good to see.
Yeah, very good to see, yeah. Okay, the featured prelim fight was the fight of the night. They both won $50K, and man, was it a fun fight. One of my favorite fights ever. Well, definitely fight of the year, in my opinion. Just styles make fights. These two were just entertaining beyond belief. I loved it. It was just so great. I wish I could see those guys fight every single Saturday. I would put my money down and watch them go at it again and again and again. It was awesome.
It was super entertaining. It was some of the most entertaining. That was one of the most entertaining fights I think I've ever seen. Yeah. They were talking to one another as they were fighting each other as well. Fiziev had your typical technical style, bouncing around, movement, going in and out around Bobby.
Yeah.
Bobby, hands down,
all the time.
like he kind of reminded me at times of boxer Pernell Whitaker with how elusive and how evasive he was to be hit. He was just not there to be hit a lot of the time by one of the best strikers in that division.
Yeah.
And that was shocking to me. It was shocking to me to see how much Fiziev had to really think to figure Bobby Green out.
Yeah.
And he did by throwing leg kick to the body. That was his most effective strike because he could hit him with that. But when he tried to go head hunting, a lot of the time he hit air.
Yeah. Yeah, no. Green is so elusive with his hands down. He just has an ability to be not where those punches are thrown, those kicks are thrown. And anytime any landed anyway, he's just, come on. That didn't hurt. No, that was hilarious. Come on. Just awesome personality and super fun and entertaining. I'm amazed that he, loves fighting that way. We haven't really seen that since Anderson Silva used to really clown like that and just try to get in the guy's head. I was bothered quite often when Anderson did it. It sort of turned me off, but not with Bobby Green the way he was. I thought it was super fun and entertaining and great. And at the end, he still had tons of stamina. He actually started really coming on and giving him all he could handle. And if it was a little bit longer, he might have been able to win that fight. But Fiziev, I think, was ahead, quite a bit through the fight. But I would pay, as I said, again and again and again to watch those two guys go at it.
Like, that was one of those fights. Green, yes, he lost, but he didn't lose in the eyes of the fans.
No.
He actually garnered more fans from that fight than anything else because, like I said, in that third round, he was beginning to come on.
Yeah.
And Fiziev was finally tiring and at the same time, still game, still throwing, but is able to even hit him even less now because now that he's tired. I was so impressed with Bobby Green and the way that he fought and how he fought a guy of that caliber who is world class when it comes to striking. I can't stress that enough on how good that guy's striking is. Bobby Green did that too.
Yeah, I remember you and I talking about Bobby Green. He was on a pretty bad streak there. He wasn't, he wasn't winning. He was starting to look like maybe the end was near, and he was on a pretty rough streak. He had lost a bunch in a row, and we were starting to think, maybe he's not going to be able to come out of this. But man, his last 3 wins, he had Clay Guida, Lando Venata, and Alan Patrick, amazing performances. He comes in. This one he had lost before, but he lost a decision. But this one, I think his stock really rose. I think they're going to love putting him on cards, and I don't think it'll be very long before we see him back in the octagon. And I hope they find another stylistic matchup like that.
If they find another stylistic match like that, they're going to grant us another awesome fight.
Yeah.
It's like as they say, styles make fights, and that fight was as good as it gets when it comes to styles, man.
I know. It was so great. Yeah. Yeah, it was fun, and I'm glad they both got that 50K because they deserved it, and it was fight of the night for sure. Okay. Should we blast through this prelims a little bit? Do you want to go down to that Alonzo Menefield short fuse Herman fight? Would you like to mention that one?
Yes, I definitely would, because first off, super impressed with Menefield on how he fought. He was very smart with his conservation of his energy because he's an extremely muscular, strong man, and he has burnt himself out many times before. And against a guy like Herman, who is incredibly sturdy, he's going to be there to fight you the entire time. He knew that he had to take his time, and he did. But those leg kicks that he gave, dude.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Yeah.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah.
I it's very rare to see a man's leg tore up and
Whoa.
destroyed, which is what he was.
Yeah.
It was so bad that the doctor had to come in to say, yeah, I guess. Yeah, you can still keep going.
Yeah, I was actually shocked that the doctor didn't call that fight because he was having a hard time just standing there while the doctor was talking to him. He was limping on it super bad. He took a couple of jumping steps to say, "Oh no, I'm good, I'm good." But soon as he stepped on it, oh shit, it was beat up. It had a hematoma on the front of it. I would hate to see his leg on Sunday. Even today would have been brutal. He would have probably had a hard time walking on it all week this week.
Oh no. That thing is like in an ice bath for days, my friend, for days. It's very rare to see a leg that chewed up, and Menafield he destroyed it to the point that even in the third round when they fought, Menafield knew he was not worried with anything coming back at him because Herman had no base.
Yeah.
Basically, he was just there to survive the fight and get through, and that was it.
Yeah, it made me think that, Aldo, used to be able to, have lethal leg kicks like that, and, he would be able to dominate guys, and they wouldn't have that base anymore. They wouldn't have that ability to push off and throw their jabs, throw their, counter shots. They wouldn't, be able to take him down anymore, that kind of thing. And I was surprised, but after, maybe he didn't watch that fight, but those calf kicks were just amazing. But short fuse, Ed Herman, man, what a legend. He actually has the longest uninterrupted tenure time on the active roster. He started June 24th, 2006, and he's still fighting. You would have to. He's another zombie. You would have to absolutely murder that guy to have him stop fighting. It's incredible.
Yeah, he is incredible. Like his durability, his longevity, like the fact that he's still with us fighting 15 years in as a professional fighter. And he's able to take that kind of a beating and still be like, yeah, still good. Let's do it. Let's dance.
Yeah, 43 fights and still going. Menafield must have just been like, what is it going to take to stop this guy? He was hitting him with brutal calf kicks, but also heavy, heavy shots. Like, it would have taken down much lesser men.
Yes, he nailed him with a couple shots straight to the chin, and he just walked through it like it was nothing. Yeah. So, yeah, that's much props to Herman, even in the loss.
He called him a hooker. He said, "Oh yeah, I know he's just a hooker. All he does is just throw hooks." So I knew what my game plan was. That was his first career decision win. He usually KOs guys super fast, but short fuse was not getting out of there, and he was giving him his all. So yeah, pretty cool to see you guys still at it. He's been into so many great wars, and I still love seeing a lot of these veterans still going. Okay, the first fight of the featured prelims had Carolina Kevlkiewicz against Jessica Penne, and really, really, really phenomenal. Both these two are top of the food chain and significant strikes in this division. Two of the really, really elite. Great fight between these two.
Yes, great fight, but Kevlkiewicz, she made a tactical error.
Yep.
She went to the ground with Penne.
That was crazy.
And as soon as she did that, it was almost like Penne just had a smile from ear to ear. She's like, "Oh my God, she actually came down here. She should never have done that." And as soon as she did, it turned against her in a heartbeat very, very quickly. Yeah. And then once Penne was working for that armbar, she was working for that armbar in that round one for the last 2 minutes.
Yeah.
He had 2 minutes to work that armbar in.
Wow.
Way too long for somebody of this caliber.
Amazing, eh? Yeah, no, yeah. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, she just was relentless. She just had to get it. And, finally she was forced to tap, and Mike Beltran had to pull her off. She was super emotional after that. She really seems like she's back, and I think. It was funny because she went down to the ground quite early on and was just like, come on down. And it was surprising that Kovacevic ended up deciding to do it. And big tactical error there because Penne is, a beast on the ground. A beast.
Yeah, she is. And when she was doing that, like enticing her to come down, I'm like, no, she's not going to do that, is she? Oh, no, she did. Okay, well, that's not a good one. That's not good. Like I just knew that was a tactical error. She would never have gone down into her world. No. Get her to come back up because her best shot at winning that fight was on her feet, not on the.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah. Okay, the early prelims, 4 fights on that one. Which one do you really want to highlight and feature there?
I wanted to actually highlight the second fight between Leonardo and Gatto because I was impressed with Gatto's heart with the mere fact that she broke her arm. In the first round and kept fighting. And then it was only going into, I want to say, the third round where the doctor finally noticed it and said, hey, wait, let's take a look at that arm. Yeah. And she was just like, I can fight through it. It's fine. And the doctor's like, no, not fine. It's broken. I can't let you fight. Sorry. Yeah. I'm always impressed by the spirit and the heart that these fighters have. I'm always impressed by the fact that they're willing to go through fire, through everything, just to keep competing. And I was super impressed by her.
Oh yeah, you're right, man. It's week after week after week. We just say, "Holy cow! These people are, some of the toughest people on the planet," and the fighters just never want to quit. She had said to her corner, "I can't even throw my arm there. It's done." And they're like, "What's wrong with it? Broken?" And she goes, "I don't know, but I just can't throw it anymore. It's just not possible. But I'm still really willing to get it back out there." And her corner's like, "Great." And they start giving her the, strategy that they want her to employ. But I don't know if one of the officials kind of overheard her talk about that arm. But once you actually saw it, you could see there was a break to it. And I'm glad the doctor said, no, this has to end. She was super disappointed, but you don't want to, risk anything further with something like that.
Yeah, it's the doctor's job is to protect the fighters at all costs. Like even beyond what the fighter would want, it's his job to do that. So he did his job correctly. He protected her from herself. Yeah. Even though she was incredibly game, he was like, "Nah, man, the fight's over. All right, you're injured. You need to get this taken care of now." So.
I want to mention the Miles John Anderson dos Santos bantamweight fight. Bantamweight is probably the deepest division in the UFC. These guys were supposed to fight about 3-4 weeks ago. It was rescheduled. They were finally able to do it. Dos Santos was getting beat up really bad by Johns early. And he limped to his corner. His leg was just so bad that he said, "I'm screwed. I can't even step backward on this. I don't know what I'm going to do." He ended up going all the way into the third round and fighting with a leg that he couldn't step backward on. And finally, this is a highlight reel KO. Johns hit him with a huge left to the body, and then overhand right that cracked him on the chin and just dropped him. Just kaboom, walk off knockout. If you any of the viewers, listeners, people haven't seen it, find it. One of the knockouts of the year, and another example of an amazingly tough guy that had a leg that wasn't even working, and he ended up fighting right into the third round.
Yeah. Again, and also too, I'm sure Johns is thinking, what do I got to hit this guy with to get him out of here?
Yeah.
Apparently, it's like I got to hit him with everything I have. with this overhand right.
Yeah. Yeah, it was insane. And I also really loved the bantamweight battle between Johnny Munhoz and Jamie Simmons. And Munhoz got the rear naked choke halfway through the second round. Super impressive performance. And as I say, that bantamweight division is probably the deepest in the UFC, and you got to go through killers to make your way up the ranks there. And I'm blown away at the quality of guys that are there. So yeah, that was an awesome card, man. So many great fights throughout. Really good pay-per-view that they put on. And it's a little while before we get another pay-per-view way into September, but we have a fight night coming up this coming week. I don't believe it's this weekend.
Next
It's
weekend.
the next one. Yeah, so we got a 1 week break. This is Jared Cannonier and Kelvin Gastelum. Man, two guys in the middleweight division that have both been really right at the top. I think this is going to be a hell of a battle.
Yeah, it's going to be styles make fights, and this is one of the most interesting stylistic fights that I can remember for a long time. Like I'm super curious to see what kind of tactics both men come in to the octagon with, because it could be very different from what I'm conceiving in my mind. So I'm looking forward to the fight.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, it's going to be a ton of fun, and a lot of good fighters on that card. We'll be able to break that down next week, I'm sure. Anybody stand out that you'd like to mention to any of our listeners and viewers?
You know what? I'm just gonna say the Cannonier to Gastelum fight for me, anyways. Personally, like that's the fight that I'm looking at them both, and I was looking at both of their styles.
Oh man!
And we just don't know what to expect from either of them. I don't know if Cannonier could just decide to be like, you know what, I'm just gonna wrestle the guy, instead of like stand up with him. But he could stand up with him and say, I think I can overpower him. And again, Gastelum could decide to take him down too as well. Like this fight could go in any way that you could imagine.
Yeah.
And then that's why I'm looking at that one.
Yeah, great points. I think it's I don't have a call on this one. I think both guys are amazing fighters, and I think it's going to be an incredible fight. Always great to see Clay Guida, the Carpenter. He's on the co-main. We've got Alex Pantoja against Brandon Royval, which should be a really good flyweight battle. And we're having a 1 week break, so it'll be a little bit of a rest for us. The only sports now that we're really going to be focusing in on, you and I, football season. They had the Hall of Fame game last weekend with the Pittsburgh winning 16-3 over Dallas. We'll start seeing some preseason games, but a lot of the starters, a lot of the guys that are going to be on the roster won't be playing until the last couple games of the season. So won't be a ton of breakdown next week, but this was fun as always. I said I was going to mention about Sugar Sean O'Malley, and we'll end with that. I will quote him. This is a quote coming from Sean O'Malley. He said, "I don't know if I'm even supposed to say this. I was talking to my manager, and he was talking to Sean Shelby, and Sean Shelby was really mad at me, supposedly. He said, I don't want to fight in New York. They asked me to fight in New York. It's too far from where I live. The taxes are ridiculous, and one of my guys in my gym is fighting in something else that I'm cornering on, so it didn't make sense. I said, I want to fight in Vegas next. Give me a fight next month in Vegas, and that's no problem." He said, Sean Shelby was super mad and said, "Oh, well, go and hang out with those rap stars like 6ix9ine. That's all you want. You don't obviously want to fight, so F off." And so he said, wow. And he said, Sean Shelby supposedly said, just, you're acting like a effing tool. And he said, No, we're not interested in putting you in a fight in Vegas. You can just go down to the bottom of the roster. So, woo! Calling out the matchmaker. Probably not a great move for O'Malley. He talked about. He's been talking about how the fighters aren't being paid properly and he needs more. I think this could be career threatening by talking about Dana White and Sean Shelby and calling them out.
Yeah, usually Dana doesn't take too kindly to anybody doing that. Like anybody stepping out of line in the organization. He doesn't take too kindly to that. And also too, usually you never hear about the matchmaking,
No,
right?
no.
Usually you never hear about that. But with him just saying, well, like I got the audio and here it is. It's just it's not. I don't know if it's the smartest move,
No.
especially if you want to keep fighting in the UFC. Like obviously you can be mad at what the UFC does, but if you're going to embarrass them, not smart. Like it's just not smart for anybody
Yeah.
that has an employer. You usually don't want to embarrass your employer.
He goes on to say some things that, maybe he was like, oh, mea culpa, I better say some stuff. But he said, hey, UFC doesn't need me. That's for sure. They would be 100% fine without me. But if they want another huge, giant star, I could fill that role for sure. But they don't need me, to be honest. They don't really need me. He said, it's not cool, though, treating me like that. They act like I'm, just hanging out with rap stars all the time. He goes, I hung out with 6ix9ine once. And he goes, it was for 3 days, but it was just once. And then he says, no, just don't treat me like a piece of, ooh. And he said, I don't really want to deal with Sean Shelby anymore. I'm going to deal with Dana directly and everything will be fine. But I don't think that that's how the UFC operates and works things. And so anyway, kind of an interesting, fun way to end the podcast. And yeah, we'll see what shakes out for Sugar Sean O'Malley. He might have to be looking at some other promotions fairly soon.
Yeah, and you know what though? But I do like the fact that he shone a light on Sean Shelby because we do forget that these matchmakers have a ton of power within the UFC organization, right?
Yeah.
And with the way that it's coming across to me, it's almost not saying that it is, it's almost like he's bullying him into taking a fight.
Right. Right.
So,
Yeah.
with that being said, how often do they do that to fighters? Good question.
Yeah. Good question. Yeah. I
Yeah,
know.
because
Yeah.
and it's funny for me to even say that because you bully a fighter, that seems like that can't be a thing because
Well,
they're
yeah.
fighting.
Shouldn't be a thing. That's for sure. Yeah. He was vocal earlier this year about the UFC's former contract from Reebok, which he claimed was very exploitative of him. There also was a lot of talk. I saw on the shirt of the Beast, he walked out and they had a little Venom sign, a little UFC sign, and Crypto.com was across the front. And supposedly, Dana and the UFC have a new contract with Crypto.com, but zero money's going to the fighters supposedly off this one. But the crypto was huge on the Beast shirt. I'm surprised that no money's going to the fighters over it.
Yeah, because now it's like they're a walking signboard. But if I'm a walking signboard walking in with it and I work for your organization, I should get something from that.
Yeah.
They should.
Yeah.
They should.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, it's too bad. Yeah, it's too bad that we have to ever talk about this kind of stuff. I just wish these guys get paid what they're worth. They're putting their lives on the line for this. It can be a very short career, and you can have some, life-altering things happen to you. A lot of these guys will have injuries, and they'll walk like old men when they're still young men. And they deserve a lot of money, and just seems like the UFC always stays unwilling to really give guys all the way down the roster what they're worth, and
yeah, and it's shocking to me because now those Paul brothers actually have a point.
Yeah.
And their point is this: how can these former UFC stars get paid more with us, with our fucking boxing extravaganza, or whatever the heck you want to call that? They can get paid more with us than they ever did with your organization that's actually official and legit.
Yeah.
That's a problem.
That is a super big problem. Yeah, it's not good, and those Pauls, yeah, they just are relentless with their beef with the UFC, and they just they won't keep quiet about it, and yeah, it'll be interesting to see how that unfolds in the next couple of years, because the Pauls seem to be able to attract a lot of really big names into these sort of exhibition fights, and it's kind of crazy.
Yeah, it is. But I, you know what? At the end of the day, though, too, I like the fact that they just keep shining that spotlight on the UFC. And you know what? I applaud it, and I want to keep it on them, keep it happening, so that people are always aware that, oh, they're just always criminally underpaid, criminally underpaid, criminally underpaid. I want that to be a mantra, so that all of a sudden the pay starts getting up there where it should be.
Yeah. I cannot wait for a podcast where we say, hey, we finally reached a road where these guys are getting paid fairly. That's going to be such a monumentous day, and we're going to have to celebrate with a bunch of beers and, really maybe spray some champagne and finally get to see this sport reach a status that it should. I think a lot of the professional sports out there, we mentioned basketball, these guys are getting paid tens of millions, if not hundreds of millions of dollars, and these UFC fighters should be included in those types of figures when we talk about them and see them perform.
Yes, they should. Like, I know that obviously boxing has a longer history than mixed martial arts, but I just want to see the fighters get to that level. Once they get to that level, that's what they deserve.
Yeah,
and I hope it's sooner than later.
And it's going to attract better and better athletes. When the money's comparable to football, to basketball, to baseball, to soccer. We're just going to see the athleticism that guys will want to compete in that. They'll be able to make as much as the top athletes and stars in all the other sports. So it can only really benefit the sport in the end.
Yes, yeah, but that's the long term. That's the long term goal that they have to always be focused on. Because short term is just short term stuff. Long term is where they want, because you want this sport to last. It has to have longevity. So with that being said, you want to have the long term goal in mind at all times.
Yeah. Hey man, this was awesome as always. I enjoy our conversation. Super look forward to it, and I'm glad you had a good weekend, a great Monday. Thanks for finishing off your Monday with me and with us, and hope you have an awesome week ahead, man. Keep in touch, and we'll see you 1 week from today.
Yeah, you betcha, man. Don't work too hard, okay?
Okay. Okay, thanks, buddy. Okay, all the best. Bye for now.
Bye for now.
Okay, we've reached another one. I didn't think it would run this long. I say this a lot. It didn't run as long as my guest appearance on the All Even podcast with Barry Grant. That podcast was over 3.5 hours. So, but please check it out online. You can find it on YouTube and all the podcast platforms out there. Please go to CompleteMediaNetwork.com. Find all the great content we're putting on. We're putting on so much content. We will be able to entertain you in so many ways. So please go on there. Again, thanks, Lowry, for bringing the computers and allowing us to do this and get this done. And thanks for all your tireless work on the website. I've been showing it to tons of people and really getting great feedback. I thank you so much, everybody, for checking it out and giving me great feedback and showing your support. Speaking of support, I want to go to our partners and sponsors, and I really want to let you know about all the great people that help us put this together. And no, it's not showing up here. So we're going to talk about Anchor FM, the easiest place to make a podcast. Just go to anchor.fm and follow all the details, and you can do what Jason and I just did here. Verbero, the hockey equipment and apparel company, V350 stick is a must stick. You got to get it in your hands. It is amazing, amazing, amazing. Pampas and Possibilities, designers of West Coast curated, handmade, beautiful things for your homes. And also Forever Living, the aloe vera company. They make products for health and beauty. Thank you so much to our partners and sponsors. It really helps us do this and bring you more great content. Hope you enjoyed the Olympics. Hope you enjoyed that free agent frenzy and the UFC. As always, they just continue to churn out great cards. 1 week break. Jason and I'll cover a few things. We'll have a great conversation again next Monday. But yeah, I guess we're looking forward to football coming soon. We'll be able to break down a lot of NFL games. And anyway, love you guys lots. CompleteMediaNetwork.com. Go there. You will not be disappointed. Take care of yourself. Have a great week ahead. Love you lots. Bye for now.